Okay, in front of nurse, it's a board. Okay, it's a board. Okay, like a wooden board. Okay, and so that the nurse is not able to see through this wooden board. Okay, and then they intentionally draw two holes. Okay, so that the nurse is able to put her head through those two holes, okay, to the other side, okay? And then, the experiment is like this, okay? Sitting on the opposite side, there's another person, okay? That person, is going to flip a coin, okay? If the coin is head, then that person is going to put his hand in front of the nurse's left hand, okay? And of course, if the coin flip result is tail, then this person is going to put his hand, in front of nurse's right hand, okay? Because nurse is not able to see the other side, right? Okay, she is not able to see the other side. So just by the feeling of the qi, supposedly she is able to tell the person on the opposite side, his hand is in front of her left hand or right hand. Okay? So this is very simple test, right? Simple experiment, right? Okay. So basically, for every nurse, they do this experiment 10 times. They flip 10 coins 10 times. They flip the coin 10 times. And then, do this experiment. And they record how many times out of these 10 trials, how many times the nurse correctly answer the question. Okay? So understand my description? Okay, so it's very simple, So basically the nurse just put her hands through the cardboard, to the other side. The nurse is not able to see the other side, And then by using the coin flips, the person on the other side, just put his hand, in front of nurse's left hand or right hand, by random. And nurse needs to be able to tell that person's hand is in front of her left hand or right hand correctly. So just that simple. The experiment is just that simple. So basically, as I said, each practitioner or each nurse, was tested for 10 trials. There were a total of 21 practitioners, 21 nurses, in the study. 7 of whom were tested twice, approximately a year apart. So because 7 nurses took the test twice, so totally there will be 28 experiments, right? And each experiment we have 10 trials, right? We have 10 trials. So because the retests were counted by the author as the separate subjects, yielding 28 nominal subjects. So you can see that, this is the result. This is the result. The data, basically the data we collected from these 28 nominal subjects. Okay, so how to explain this result? Okay, basically this means what? Okay, you can see the x-axis represent the proportion the nurse answered correctly. Okay, and then the y-axis represent the number of nurses. Okay, so you can see there's one nurse. There's one nurse. Okay, out of 10 questions, out of 10 trials, she only answered one correctly. So that's why. Okay, it's 0.1. Okay, the proportion correct is 0.1 for that nurse. Okay, well that's very poor, right? Well, actually that's okay. If you want to intentionally answer correctly, that's difficult to achieve, right? Okay, so this nurse is very unlucky. Okay, let me put it this way. Okay, so there's another nurse. Okay, out of 10 trials, she only get 2 correct. Okay, and there's 8 nurses. Okay, out of 10 trials, they made like 3 correct. Okay, and there are these 5 nurses. 5 nurses out of the 10 trials, they answered like 4 correctly. Okay, and another this one is like about 7 nurses. Okay, they answer like half of the 10 trials correctly. Okay, and there are 2 nurses. Okay, they answer like 10 trials. I mean, they answer 6 correctly. Okay, and and then there's one nurse. Okay, again, only one nurse. Okay, who answer 10 for 10 trials. There's 7. There's 7. 0.7. Okay, there's how many? 3 nurses. They answer like 10 trials. They answer like 7 correctly, and there's one nurse who answered like 10 for 10 trials. She answered like 8 trials correctly. Okay, so totally there are 28 subjects. 28 subjects. Okay. So you can see that, okay, most of the nurses actually did like quite like what should I say, like the result are quite like concentrate at the center, right? Okay. So you can, if you try to consider each nurse as a coin, and these 10 trials as like 10 flips, and the correct as like a head. Okay, the flip result to be head. Okay, and incorrect to be the flip result to be tail. Okay, then you can see that. Okay, well, and this manufacturer, okay, that produced these coins, it seems to be kind of consistent, right? Kind of consistent. Well, there are some outliers, but the outliers are not that many. Okay, not that many. So this is like we load this data. Okay, this data is actually in a zip file that comes with the book. Okay, I told you guys where to download that zip file a long time ago. Okay, so you can find this therapeutic touch data.csv in that zip file. Okay, actually this file is also a script. Okay, under that zip. 5. Okay, it's called N burn beta. X known S subject N burn beta omega kappa. Okay, example data. So basically, okay, we just like put this data into the jets and have jets to run to compute the chain to obtain the posterior for us. Okay, for the chain we actually got like 20,000. We saved 20,000 steps, but actually the thin steps is 10, so we actually run 200,000 steps to get this 20,000. Okay, and one thing to be that I probably want to mention about this is that, okay, this each nurse, okay, is numbered. Okay, each nurse is her result is numbered. Okay, from the poorest performance to the highest one. Okay, so in other words, okay, the nurse who got only one trial correct, she is number 1. Okay, her index is 1. The nurse who got 8 out of 10 trials correctly, okay, her index is 28. Okay, and then the middle one, okay, because we have 28 subjects, the middle one is about 14, right? 14. That guy, that nurse is, if you check, okay, this is 1, this is 8, so we have 10 up to this point, okay, and then we have another 5 here, okay. So you can see the 14th nurse is actually, she actually answered like 4 out of 10 correctly, okay? Because what we are going to do is we are going to compare the first nurse with the middle one, with the best one, the best nurse, and see like if we can, if we can see their performance is very different or is unnoticeable. Okay, so let's have a look at this at the result. This is the posterior, okay, for the mode and the kappa. Okay, so you can see omega, for omega, is going to be 0.44. Okay, it's going to be 0.44. Okay. What does that mean? Think about this. Okay, we collect all these results. Okay, and then we run it through this Bayesian data analysis, and the group mode actually this omega is actually 0.44. But I just explained this experiment procedure to you guys, right? This experiment, okay, even if you don't know anything, if you do not have chi, you do not have energy field, okay, just by random guessing, what should be the probability? Because, well, either the person on the other side will either put his hand in front of your left hand or right hand, right? And your answer will be either left hand or right hand. So, well, you have half of the chance to be correct, right? Right? So you can see that, okay, even for the trained nurse who already took the classes for the therapeutic touch, okay, her, their like performance, the average performance is actually lower than 0.5. So this is really not that good, you know. This is really not that good, okay? And for the mode, for the kappa, okay, the mode, okay, the most representative value for the kappa is 19.6. Okay, this is kind of high. Okay, this is kind of high. Okay, why is that? As I said, it was because, as I said, okay, you can see if you consider these 28 nurses, each one as a coin, okay, then their biases are kind of concentrated, right, in the center, right? So that basically tells us that this factory, this manufacturer, okay, is kind of consistent, right? It's kind of consistent to produce these coins. Okay, well, it's a little bit strange to use coin to describe nurse, but you get my point, okay? So that is why, okay, we have a slightly higher kappa value. It's not like very, very high, but it's high, okay? It's kind of like, it means like we have 20 flips, almost have 20 flips, right? Because we talk about the kappa value, the meaning of kappa value, when we discuss the beta distribution, we discuss like the conjugate, right? So the kappa value basically means like you know, how many flips, okay, you use for your in your, for your prior, okay, because this is like the kappa value, okay, this 19.6 is close to 20 trials, 20 flips, okay, and each nurse actually should only do 10 trials, right? Or put it this way, she only well, because that nurse is considered as one coin, right? Each nurse coin is only flipped 10 times. Okay, so this kappa value is considered much stronger than the individual nurse's data. Okay. So then let's look at the posterior of the theta 1, theta 14, and theta 28. As I said, theta 1 is the one that performed the worst. Theta 28 is the one that performed the best. Theta 14 is the one that performed like the middle. Okay, actually, the middle one actually answered 4 out of 10 correct. Okay, so you can see the worst one she actually answered only 1 out of 10 correct. So you can see a gray cross marked at 0.1. This gray cross basically indicates the bias from the raw data. The bias from the raw data. Okay, so because she only answered 1 out of 10 correct, so her raw data is raw data indicate the bias to be 0.1. But if you look at the posterior, okay, actually the mode is 0.386. Okay, you will see, okay, this mode is somewhat in between her raw data bias and her group and the group mode. Group mode is 0.44. Okay, and this one is 0.178, and this mode is 0.386. Actually, it's somewhere in between 0.178 and 0.44. And if you look even a little bit closer, you'll find that this mode is actually more closer to the group mode. That is why, okay, the reason is because kappa value is slightly higher than her individual data. Because her individual data is only 10 trials, but we have almost 20 flips for the kappa value. Okay, so the result of this mode is more leaning toward the group mode. Okay, and 95% HDI range from 0.178 to 0.524. Okay, so you cannot exclude the chance, you cannot exclude the possibility that it's a random guessing, because 0.5 is included there in the 95% HDI. Okay, so you cannot exclude the possibility that this is just a result of random guessing. Okay, same thing apply here. Okay, if you look at the raw data, it's 0.8, because she answered, the nurse who performed the best answered 8 out of 10 correct, right? So the raw data indicates it's a 0.8. Okay, but the result is 0.49. The mode is 0.49. Okay, which again is in between the group mode and her individual data mode. Okay, between 0.8 and 0.44. Okay, this is 0.49. You can see this one is actually closer to a group mode than her individual data indicates. Okay, that's again due to the same reason. Okay, and again, this 95% HDI range from 0.362 to 0.721. Again, 0.5 is included. So again, we can see that, okay, we cannot exclude the possibility that this is the result, pure random guessing. Okay, same thing apply to the middle one. Okay, the 14th nurse. I will just skip this one. Okay, and this basically is like okay, the difference between these two, the worst nurse and the middle one. This is the difference between the middle one and the best nurse. Okay, and this one, the upper right corner, indicate the difference between the worst nurse and the best nurse. Let's just look at this one. Okay, the difference between the worst nurse and the best nurse. You can see, okay, for the 95% HDI, okay, it ranged from negative 0.46 to positive 0.0675. So, well, the zero is included in the 95% HDI, right? Right? Even it is, it is kind of like marginal, okay? But still, 0.0 is inside here. It's inside 95% HDI. That means what? That means you cannot exclude the possibility that these two nurses are basically identical. Okay, their differences, okay, their individual data differences is just a result of noise. It's just a result of noise. Okay? The other two, I think, the difference between the worst one and the middle one, and the middle one and the best one, okay, of course, the difference is not that much. They also include like 0.0 in the 95% HDI. Okay, so I'll not go into detail of those two things again. Okay, basically the description are similar. Okay, so I think I already talked about all these. Okay, so and also we can in a previous discussion we say like the prior, okay, is also important. Okay, sometimes we want to see like how the prior looks like. Okay, in a hierarchical model. Okay, and how to do that? basically we just comment out the data, right? And we can generate all the figures from the prior, right? So this is like how we do it, okay? So this represents like a prior for the sample we got from the gamma distribution. Okay, this is the sample we got from the beta 1,1. You can see it's close to like a flat. This one is close to like this. This one, close to this one. Okay, close to this one. Okay, this one. Let me show you. It's actually close to this figure. This one. Close to this one. Okay. And for the other, like for example, like the first nurse, second nurse, third, first nurse, last nurse, and middle nurse, because we have no data, so they basically all like have the similar performance. Okay, because we don't have any data. Okay, and the difference will be basically just like a kind of uniform distribution. Sorry, normal distribution, kind of normal distribution, center at 0. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's just for the, if you have no data and you want to see like a prior, okay, that's the result. Okay, and the phenomenon, okay, that each individual bias will be pulled toward the group mode. This type of phenomena in the hierarchical model is called shrinkage. Okay, it's called shrinkage. Okay, there's a special term for that. Okay, in typical hierarchical model, the estimate of low-level parameters, okay, in this example, the theta I, okay, are pulled closer together than they would be if they were not a higher level distribution. Okay, this pulling together is called shrinkage of the estimates. Okay, so in therapeutic touch, each example, okay, the most credible value of individual level biases, theta S, okay, were closer to the group level mode, okay, omega, than the individual proportions. Correct. Z as divided by MS. I already explained that. Okay. The term can be misleading because shrinkage leads to reduced variance only for unimodel distributions of parameters. Okay. Basically, what is talking about here? Okay. If your higher level distribution is like a unimodel, you only have one. For example, in omega, if you are like this, then your individual theta I, okay, will be pulled toward the center, the omega. Okay, but this is like for unimodel. If you have your data, your result, the result, the high level parameter is not unimodel. For example, like this. Of course, we don't have such example. Okay, but this is possible. This is possible. Then what happened for the individual lower level parameter? It's going to be like this. Okay, each parameter is going to be pulled toward the closest mode. Okay, this part, because the closest mode is this one, so they are going to be pulled toward this one. But this part, the closest mode is this one. So they are going to be pulled closer to this mode, Okay, so you can see that, okay, they are not necessarily always going to be put together. Okay, because in this case, you can see this one will be pulled toward that direction. This one will be pulled toward this direction, right? So for these two individual bias, they are actually going to be pulled, apart, away from each other, right? Because one is pulled toward this mode, one is pulled toward the other mode. Okay, so this shrinkage, okay, if you look from the word itself, okay, it kind of gives you like a hint, gives you an implication that, okay, the individual bias are always going to be pulled together, but no, it's not necessarily the case. Okay, but of course, most of the time, okay, the high level parameter distribution, is unimodel most of the time. Okay, I would not say like always, but most of the time, okay, it's unimodel. Okay, this type of situation, after all, happens very rarely. Okay, so that's why, okay, originally, okay, we give shrinkage this term, okay, to this phenomenon. Okay. Just want you to get an idea, okay? And shrinkage is a rational implication of hierarchical model structure, and it is desired by the analyst because the shrinkage parameter estimates are less affected by random sampling noise than estimates derived without hierarchical structure, okay? This one, okay, it will be more, you will feel more reasonable when we talk about the next example. Okay, when we talk about the next example, it will be more reasonable. Okay, next example is more, you will feel like, well, it is very natural, okay, for such a thing to happen. Right now, if you only look at this therapeutic touch, because the question itself is still, the problem itself is still not complicated enough. Okay, so you don't see why this shrinkage is reasonable, okay, and is preferred by the analyst. Okay, so intuitive shrinkage occurs because the estimate of each low-level parameter is influenced from two sources. First is influenced from the subset data that are directly dependent on the low-level parameter. Okay, its own data. Okay, for example, for each therapeutic touch nurse, okay, she did like 10 trials, right? Those 10 trials, of course, affect her biases, right? So this is the first one. The second one is her biases also influenced from the high-level parameters, okay, on which low-level parameter depends, okay. In the therapeutic touch, that's the omega. That omega also influence those nurses. Okay. So if you look at this shrinkage concept more mathematically, okay, we know that, okay, for example, okay, we can use mathematical formula to justify it. Okay, this is not a formal proof, so don't worry about that. Okay, as I said, this textbook does not talk about formal proof. Okay, so this is merely an explanation. Okay, an explanation. Okay, so basically, okay, if you have a set of data, okay, what can we? So we want to find the setting that is going to maximize. That is going to maximize the probability, okay, of the posterior, basically. Okay, So you can see that, okay, this is data given the prior, okay, and it's going to be like this part is going to be your likelihood multiplied by the prior. We know that, right? Well, it's, to be honest, I mean, we also need to divide this thing by a constant, which is the data, right? But that part, because it's a constant, we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so let's look at this part. From one individual nurse, okay, if you want to maximize this part, because it's Bernoulli distribution, right? So to maximize this part, okay, so we want to maximize the probability of the posterior, okay? So it's kind of like an f of x times g of x. So this is the Bernoulli distribution. To maximize this part, what we need is z divided by n, right? For that particular nurse, right? Okay? So this part is very simple, right? For Bernoulli distribution, this is given. But for this is a beta distribution. If you want to maximize the probability for this one, what value of theta s should you choose? Of course, you should choose what? You should choose omega, right? Because omega is the mode for this beta distribution, right? So it will be natural to choose omega to maximize this beta distribution, the probability of the beta distribution. So if you choose this one, it's going to max this part. If you choose omega, it's going to max this part, right? So now we want to maximize this one multiplied by this one, right? So intuitively speaking, okay, intuitively speaking, again, I'm not saying this is a proof. You should choose something in between these two, right? In order to maximize this one multiplied by this one. We know this one, this value, you set x to be this value, it's going to maximize this one. If you set x to be omega, it's going to maximize this one. Then if you want to maximize this, the multiplication of these two, it should be somewhere between these two values, right? Okay, so that's, well, the argument here. Okay, that's the argument made here. Okay, you can see that theta s participate in both of the lower level theta probability and in the high level group probability. So the first part is, if you want to maximize the first part is this one. If you want to maximize the second part is omega. So the value of theta s that maximizes the product of these two, multiplication of these two, okay, falls between them. In other words, theta s is pulled toward the higher level mode. Okay, because originally it's this one, right? Because it's somewhere between these two. It means what? It means it's pulled toward this one, right? Okay? So that's basically the argument made by this mathematical formula. Another argument follows a similar thoughts. Okay. Okay, we are using here. We can use this more a real example. Okay, suppose we have 5 individuals. Okay, or 5 coins. Okay, 5 coins. Each of whom went through 100 trials. Okay, or we can flip the each coin 100 times. Okay, and has success counts of 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. Okay, so the first one has kind of like we have, for the first column we have 30 heads out of 100 trial. Okay. For the second column we have 40 heads out of 100 trial, and so on. Okay. So the bias will be 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, and so on, right? With a high-level beta distribution that is nearly flat. Okay, so probability of data given this choice of parameter value is the likelihood computed from equation in slide 48 in slide is displayed at the top of the panel here. Okay, if you do not, if each individual bias is not pulled toward the center, okay, in other words, you have a flat, like a group group mode distribution. Okay, so you can see the likelihood for this scenario, we can compute it, is 2.6 times 10 to the power of negative 142. Well, it's very small, right? It's very small. Okay, but if you change this from a flat one, okay, to this thing, okay, to this one, and then each individual bias is pulled to the center, what it's going to end up is the likelihood is going to be 5.337 times 10 to the power of negative 141. Okay, well, you may argue, well, this is also very small, but consider how much improvement this one is compared with this one. The likelihood is increased by 20 times. Okay, by 20 times. If the shrinkage happens. If the shrinkage happens. Okay, so this is a significant result. Okay, shrinkage occurs because the data from all individuals influence the high-level distribution, which in turn influences the estimate of each individual. Okay, so estimate of CIS is a compromise between the individual data, okay, ZS divided by MS, okay, and the group level distribution informed by all the individuals. Okay, so mathematically, the compromise is expressed by having to jointly maximize this one. Okay, as I said, the first part and the second part. Okay, the first part is Z divided by N, the second part is omega, so it's kind of in between these two. Okay, as I already mentioned. Okay, so that's the shrinkage. Okay, I will skip this part. Okay, speeding up jets in two ways. Okay, one way we already talked about. Okay, is we can parallelize the execution by using the wrong jets. Okay, the second one we are going to talk about probably not today. Okay, it's going to be next week. Okay, because I would like to talk about the next example. The next example is more important because it probably will give you some hint about how to set up your group project topic. Okay, so let me skip this part. Okay, we are going to come back to talk about this next time. Okay. So, here. Now, we are adding a little bit more description here. Originally, we are assuming there is only one factory, one manufacturer that produces a lot of coins, right? Okay. Now we are assuming, instead of only one manufacturer, we are assuming we have different categories. Okay, we have different categories. Okay, so you can see, different category. I mean, each category have its mode, okay, and the kappa. So omega, you can see omega C and the kappa C, because this C represents the category. Okay, category. Okay, and each category, of course, will have several coins or several, well, whatever subjects. Okay, I'm going to explain. Okay, in detail using the example that we are going to talk about, like probably not right now, after the break. Okay, and then each subject will have some outcomes. Okay, as the data. Okay, and we have the WC. Okay, it's going to be it's going to distribute it using a gamma distribution. Okay, we assume the parameter for this gamma distribution are fixed. Okay, so S kappa and R kappa are fixed value. Okay, and sorry, kappa C is drawn from the gamma distribution with a fixed S kappa, R kappa. And for omega C, okay, it's drawn from another overarch, okay, omega, okay, and that omega, okay, again it has, it's drawn from a beta distribution, and that beta distribution again it has omega and kappa, okay, but this omega is from this beta distribution with a constant A omega, B omega, and this kappa, okay, is drawn from, again, a gamma distribution with a fixed value, S kappa and R kappa. Okay, so in some sense, we now have one additional layer, okay, to represent the category. Okay, why do we need to do that? Okay, we are going to talk about that, okay, in our next example. Okay, the next example is this is the Jack multiplication that is corresponding to this one. Okay, I think I will not go into detail. Okay, and the sum of this part is a little bit different. We will no longer use Bernoulli distribution. We use DB. Okay, why do we do that? Okay, because this helps us to speed up the model generation. Okay, we'll talk about this, okay, as I say, next time, okay? So let's assume we still use the original one, okay? Okay, this is the example that we are going to discuss. Baseball batting ability by position. Okay, we are going to use like the data from the Major League Baseball, okay? I think baseball is kind of like one of the most popular sports in Taiwan, right? So even if you don't play, you watch the baseball game, at least sometimes, right? So you understand what baseball is, okay? And you know Major League Baseball is one of the best, like top place to play baseball, okay? And we have we have some Taiwanese players in Major League Baseball, right? So we are going to discuss this after the break, okay?